Okay. Gordon McClendon at that time, what was
Gordon, of course, he was a Scotchman. The media, I don't know how many radio stations he ended up with, but anyway, he was part of the great white fathers of
What was his radio station there?
KLIF.
KLIF, okay.
And let's see, KILT in Houston, and he had a number of stations.
Okay. Now let's
He
talk.
killed himself, the best I remember.
Okay.
You know, a lot of these people, they would either, like Clint Murchison's secretary,
Yeah.
killed herself not too long after the assassination.
Mm-hmm.
And I've often wondered, were they involved or because of the fear or, you know.
Maybe guilt or fear.
Or probably fear in most cases.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next day in Dallas. Where were you at the time
Of the
of
assassination?
assassination?
I'd packed my car to go to Austin for the big fundraiser. And they were having a meeting of the Democrats down the old Red Courthouse. And they were fussing. Some of them were highly disenchanted about John Kennedy coming to Texas. And so here they were wrangling, which was very common. So I was lighthearted, and I said, "Hey guys, I'm going on to Austin. I'll see you guys in Austin tonight." And I blew him a kiss. I walked out of the Red Courthouse, and we didn't have all the parking problem. I get in my automobile. You could hear the parade, the noise from the parade. I drove across the Houston Street Viaduct in order to hit the highway to go to Austin. And impulsively, I said, I want to have time to have my hair fixed in Austin, so I'll go by, let's see, was it Fair Tyches, the beauty salon, and get my hair freshened so I could go on to Austin. And again, it's about maybe 10 minutes or less trip from the Red Courthouse. And as I walked in the door, they were already on the television that he had been shot. So I asked if I could use the phone. I knew if anyone knew anything, it would be just Kellum in Austin because they carried all three networks. So I called Jess and I said, "What is going on?" First, I called Lou Sterrett at downtown, and I said, "My God, what has happened, Lou?" And here are people that should have been out at the Trademark for the luncheon, but they were still downtown. And he said, "Well, they just shot that SOB. And maybe Lyndon." Well, when Lou told me it was Lyndon, of course it was very upsetting. And I didn't live all that far from the where I had my hair fixed. Jess from my house. I said, "Jess, what is going on?" And he told me at that time. He even said that he was sure he had passed away. Or was
You thought he was talking about Johnson?
Yeah, both. But I had already verified that it was not Lyndon.
Okay.
It was John Conlon.
And Kennedy. Yeah. Let's go back to that before. When Johnson came out of the meeting, what did he say to you?
He was so angry. He had a violent temper when he was upset.
Well, let's use the exact words that he said to you. What did he say to you?
He grabbed me by the arm, and he had this deep voice, and he said, "After tomorrow, those SOBs will never embarrass me again. That's no threat. That's a promise." And it startled me, really, because he was so ruddy-faced, and I thought, oh, well, he really, something went on that shouldn't have gone on, But he called me from the Texas hotel the next morning as I was going downtown.
Right.
And hear this screaming voice of his. He was so irate, and he didn't give me time to talk to him. He just he was still angry. And when I talked to Jess Kellum right after that, I said, "Wow, he's on a real violent binge, And then I passed it off. I said, "Well, after tonight at the Driscoll, he'll be all right."
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't see him again
What
until
were the words he said to you over the phone that
that they
morning?
would never embarrass him again. That SOB, the Irish Mafia, I think he referred to him as the Irish Mafia very often.
But he said they would never embarrass him
I'd
again.
never embarrass him again. There was no threat. That was a promise. And there were violent feelings that have never been told that was between those two people.
There was a picture in the Associated Press that showed Ralph Yarbrough, John Connally, Lyndon Johnson standing behind Kennedy
At the
speaking.
Texas Hotel.
Right. And
Yeah.
if you look at the look on Johnson's face, what's your impression?
His face is snarling.
Yeah.
And John Connally is so worried or concerned. And after Air Force One got to Love Field, you see John Connally coming down. Everyone was full of glee, and John Connally has this faraway look.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to discuss about?
Other than it was a political crime for political power. And may their souls rest in peace.
Now, there's been some comments about Kennedy should have known better to come to Texas, and that one of the reasons that they may have wanted to kill him in Texas because Johnson had everything sold up in Texas. Any truth to that?
Well, Lyndon had control. Do you know that Jake Pickle, do you know Jake?
Yes, I know Jake.
That he and John Connally went into every county in Texas and established a Democrat power base.
Right.
I haven't seen Jake in a long time, but he had total control of the press in Texas, and maybe outside. I only know about Texas.
You're talking about Johnson now?
Yeah, he did. But the plans, again, to get rid of Kennedy started in 1960, rather than, they were not just popped up. And people must remember that if the assassination had not happened that day, Lyndon Johnson would have been in heap bad power problems. When he got to Washington, you know what? Of course, we didn't have the communications in those days. The first thing that Lyndon did, he went to find out what the House and Ways Committee, what they did that day.
Yeah.
That was his first step.
Hmm.
He was concerned.
So he knew that they were fixing to indict him.
Oh, sure.
And
That's what happened to Jenkins, the fellow that had worked so faithfully with him.
Yeah.
He was going to testify against Lyndon. So what they do, they set him up as a homosexual, and they destroyed him, basically.
Well, there's another fellow that we can talk about. He had something to do with the agriculture department and lived in Hearn.
I mean, the only thing I know that you said that we didn't want to talk about Billy Saul, okay. But the agricultural people were very involved in swindling money, all of this stuff. And was it Jack Peterball? Did he live in Hearn?
There's a fellow named
Orville Freeman? No, he was in Amarillo.
Marshall.
Oh, Marshall. But Marshall, yeah, he was the guy that supposed to have shot himself 5 times in the front. Yeah. Henry Marshall.
Henry Marshall.
Yeah, Henry. Yeah, I knew Henry. He was going to testify too, and they said he killed himself, but I've never understood how he could take a .22 and shoot 5 bullets into his stomach.
A bolt-action .22 rifle.
His bolt-action. Yeah, I knew Henry.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. He wasn't from Hearn, was he?
Yeah, he was from Hearn.
Really?
Yeah.
Franklin? Is it Franklin?
Franklin's near Hearn.
Well, they found him dead on the ranch.
Yeah.
But he was agricultural.
Right.
There were 3 or 4 of those guys that were involved in it.
the word is that he was going to testify about the kickbacks to Johnson from the agriculture programs. And so they need to get rid of him.
That's what happened in those years. If anyone turned against anyone, they came up missing. They're upstairs.
Somehow they were dead one way or another.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, one thing we need to cover is your nanny for your two sons. Let's go over that.
Well, here's the lady that worked for me 10 years.
What was her name?
God, Gail, my mind is so cluttered.
Yeah.
Dale.
Dale.
Yeah, Dale.
Okay.
Anyway, we were at the Minger Hotel, and of course, they would arrange for me to be close to Lyndon, you know. And anyway, we were getting the luggage and everything. She came out, and Lyndon sees me in the hall and grabs me, and he hugs me and loves me. Of course, I was excited. But Dale went back into the room immediately, almost.
She saw you and Johnson in the hall?
Yeah, she did. And he told me that night, tell her goodbye. And I said, well, for why? Of course, I didn't realize the importance or what it would destroy him. And he said, I didn't want anyone to see us. And I said, it was an accident. And he said, we don't have accidents. So after we came back to Dallas, Dale called me at work, and she said she had some business. Well, I live close to my parents, and I said, well, take the boys and take them to Mother. Mother always had help. So I really didn't think a lot of it, but Dale disappeared. We never heard from her. And even today, after all these years, I still try to find out what happened to Dale. So I was talking with some of the inn people, and I said, it still grieves me about Dale. And it was so blasé, and they said, well, don't you know what happened to her? I said, no. They said Mac Wallace took care of her. And then it hit me. I thought, well, why hadn't I figured it out?
Yeah. So Mac was Johnson's hitman.
He was the hitman. I can't think of the attorney that really told me that, but...
But we have a situation where an absolute innocent person just sees you and Johnson in the hall, and that causes her death.
That's right.
And Johnson didn't think anything at all about having her killed.
He had no qualm about death.
Just
whatever it took to do a job.
And I guess maybe a statement is that the end always justifies the mean.
That's right.
That's just the way he thought about it. Didn't matter what it took to get there as long as you got to your goal.
That's right. And he did it.
Well, Madeleine, thank you, and I really appreciate it, and we're going to get the truth out, and it just, the public owes you a great debt of thanks for coming forward with the truth. And
I probably never would have opened my mouth, but I was so hurt about my son. I said, they can't take anything from me anymore.
Yeah.
And people need to know.
That's right. Well,